Hey everybody, Traffic Thoughts with Terry, day 22. Can atheists sin? Can agnostics sin? Is it possible to be a sinner if you are not religious, if you don't have a religion, if you're not spiritual, if you're an atheist or an agnostic? And I think that's a very interesting topic to have because I grew up religious, I grew up Methodist, and that's a denomination of Christianity, and I grew up with the intent of going into the Christian ministry, and I learned a lot about the Bible, learned a lot about the Old Testament and the New Testament of the Bible, and I was fully prepared to go into that. And when I got into college and when I started learning more about my mental health, and I lost a lot of faith in organized religion, but I also lost a lot of faith in my own ability to think. Those faith-based feelings and core beliefs that I had started to falter a little bit, and I had a little bit different perspective on the stuff that I had found to be truth for many, many years. Can people who are agnostics and atheists sin? Well, I guess it depends, okay? It really depends on if that person who's agnostic or who's atheist is moral and has ethics, and has those morals and ethics guide their beliefs into what they do on a day-to-day basis. And if they hit the mark on what they're trying to do, what their morals and what their beliefs are. So let me explain what I mean by that. In the Hebrew and in the Old Greek, that is where the Bible was translated from. And I may be getting the words wrong here, so if I get them wrong or I pronounce them wrong, I apologize. I'll put the words up here above me with the definitions and the pronunciation. But in the Hebrew Old Testament, what I would call the Old Testament, in the Hebrew, the word for sin was chata or chat. Chat. I know I'm messing that up. That word means to miss the mark. It literally means to miss the mark. Sins were not a list of bad deeds that, if you did them, would be bad in your religion. And the word hamartia, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, but I believe it's something similar to that, where sins weren't a thing. There was a list of 10 commandments, okay? But to sin was to fail at that list. Sinning was missing the mark, right? You've aimed at something, you've aimed at your target. You should hit the target if you're aiming at the target. And aiming at the target is what your goal is, right? Whatever that moral code is. In the Jewish religion of the Old Testament, again, what I called the Old Testament when I was learning about the Bible, there was the 10 Commandments, okay? Those were the rules, and the Torah was the rules, and they had a list that you were supposed to follow of things, and if you missed that target, if you missed the mark, and you didn't hit what you were aiming for, that was a sin. And then in the Christian religion, when it became later on through the Greek Christians and into the Roman Catholics, coming up with the list of sins that you could do, and forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. It's been however long since my last confession. Here are the things that I've done that are sins. That's not how it works with atheists or agnostics. Atheists and agnostics have goals, morals, ethics that they follow, and if they don't follow that moral or ethic, then that would be a sin, because the literal definition of the word that sin came from, which was that chata or the hamartia in Greek, means to miss the mark. It means you were supposed to aim at this target and you didn't hit the target, and that's chata. That's the missing that target is the sinning. It's not like a list of sins. It's just having a goal and whether or not you hit the target. So I guess that's my traffic thought with Terry today, is if you're aiming for something, you should hit the target. Anyway, that's it. Love you.